Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely, and this is going to be my most controversial video to date, if you can believe that. But I am at the world famous Lake Stevens Disc Golf Course in Washington. And before I talk about the controversial part, this is like, if you haven't been to the Pacific Northwest, you can't even come up with words to describe how beautiful it is here. The old growth forest, the trees that are, I mean, other than the redwood curtain in Arcata, California, these are probably the tallest trees I've ever seen. I mean, the video won't do it justice, but unbelievable, spectacular beauty. That's not what's controversial. What's controversial is the opinion that I'm going to offer about the baskets here. Let's go take a look. So these are the Lake Stevens baskets. These were put in by Fred Chittenden in I believe it was 2000. He put them in. And he did this because he wanted to do something to make the course a bit more challenging. Now, the controversy comes from the fact that there's a lot of people that don't like these baskets. I think there's probably two reasons they don't like them. The first is just general human nature. People don't like things that are different, right? It doesn't matter how cool you make your house look. If you're in the suburbs, there's people that are going to be like, that doesn't look like the other houses, so it's different, and they don't like it. And by the way, everyone's entitled to that opinion. It's not one that I share, but everyone's right. But I think the other reason people don't like them is that they're unusual in that you don't have to have an obstacle to have one lie more challenging than another lie the same distance away. They're not evenly distributed on chains and poles the way they're set up. And by the way, every single basket on the course isn't the same. I'm not going to show you any of these others. I want to do the montage. I think that would spoil the experience of coming out here to play it. So I don't think that's fair to do. Instead, I'm going to show you an example of one of the baskets. But I think what happens is people throw shots, they land, they wind up at an angle where there's a pole blocking it, and they have a much more narrow window, and someone else that throws a shot maybe a little farther away has a wide open window to throw their putt in, and they think, oh, it's unfair. I don't feel that way. In fact, quite the opposite. You knew before you threw where the big openings were and the smaller openings. I say you didn't execute. And if there's any element of randomness to it, it's all going to even itself out by the end of the tournament. You get an equal number of good and bad breaks. So I don't find either of those arguments compelling as to those baskets not being good. Here's what I absolutely love about them. First off, it's creative. Pushing the boundaries and doing things outside of the box is how we evolve as a sport, as a species, as a culture. Like the idea that you can't do something different and radical is insane to me. Like that is what makes art. Now, whether you like these baskets or not, it's awesome that they were trying to do something different. Even if I hated these baskets, I would commend Fred Chittenden for putting them in. But I don't hate them. Here's why I think these may be the best baskets in disc golf. Now, wait a second, don't like cut off right away. I want to explain, if there was ever a World Championships or an NT in Seattle and you decided to play this course out here, obviously there's standards you got to adhere to within the sport. Of course you pull the baskets out and put in, modern baskets for that week. Yeah, duh. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the day-to-day recreational use of this course, or even local tournaments on this course. These baskets are great. The reason I like them goes back to a bigger picture, which is what makes a good golf hole. Well, one of the things that I feel is necessary to make a good hole is that there needs to be a decision when deciding what to throw. The idea that you just step up and attack the target, it can make a good hole, but it certainly doesn't make a great hole. I think there needs to be some thinking involved. There needs to be some risk and reward and some weighing out the consequences of the choices that you make. The most obvious example of this is a long fairway with out of bounds on both sides. As you get closer to the hole, the fairway narrows. You have a choice to make. Attack the hole or try to get close to it for a birdie or an easy approach shot, higher risk of out of bounds. The more conservative approach takes out of bounds out of play on the drive, but then it leaves yourself a more difficult approach shot. There's thinking involved, and when there's thinking involved, that adds to the hole. These baskets are the epitome of that because you have to decide how you approach the shot. Do you take the smaller window, for example, to land on the side of the target with the larger putting area? Or do you take the easier shot with less risk, but you leave yourself a shot with a smaller putting window? The decision is yours, but the fact that you have to make that decision is epic. I mean, I don't see how that's not an amazing attribute to the course. Now, whether or not you execute that shot, that's golf, right? You're going to throw some good shots and bad shots. You're going to land in shots where you don't want to be. But that's the next part about this, is the fun factor. You don't just throw at the basket, or if you're behind a tree, you straddle around it. You have to judge angles. You have to judge the nose up and nose down. There's pros and cons to doing all these things. I'm going to be more likely to hit my target if I throw straight at it. But it's less likely to go between the poles than it is if I putt at an angle. But if I putt at an angle, I'm adding the variable of trying to play the fade of the putt. But if I execute, I've given myself a larger window to the target. Again, it's thinking, it's the decision making that I think is so fantastic. And this is what this course has. It would be an absolute tragedy if they took these baskets out of this course, because that's what makes this course unique. It's what makes it special. I hope they never water this course down and take these out. I mean, it's so innovative and so clever. Even if you don't like the baskets, that's what Lake Stevens is all about. And I hope our course doesn't lose that. You know, taking the baskets out here would be like saying, let's standardize baseball fields and remove the green monster and the short left field at Fenway Park. It's crazy. So there, how about that? You thought I was tall? I wasn't tall. I was standing on my soapbox the whole time. I'm just such a huge fan of these baskets. And you know, I'm going to go and putt a couple, and I'm going to probably miss 3 of them. Okay, and 1 backdoor putt. Oh, I went through the same window. I love Lake Stevens. I hope you guys like this video. I hope more Fred Chittendens out there innovate. Let's try new stuff. Let's push the sport forward. I don't care how terrible your ideas are. I will commend you for trying something new and different. And a bunch of failures will lead to an occasional success, and boom, we springboard forward into the 23rd century, 25th century. Oh, it's disc golf, the 8,000th century, thanks to people like the ones who put these baskets in. I hope you like this video. Please comment. This is going to be a fun little debate. Subscribe. Thanks, guys.